Okay, look, you know what? We'll run the titles while I try and stop my chair squeaking. Hit it.
It'd be really silly if you had the chair squeaking and it was actually the title sequence.
Squeak, 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 squeak.
Or you could just Pika.
Everything is Pikachu.
Exactly.
Everything can be Pikachu.
Even Skyrim, it's got the word Pikachu in there somewhere.
Yes. And they also seem to sing Arrow in the Knee. In the knee, in the knee, took an arrow to the knee. It actually sounds like they're saying that that point, doesn't it?
It does. What you heard that, you go back and you listen to it, it's like, actually, yeah, you're right. It does sound like that.
They're doing it. Oh, no. Right, let's carry on with why we're actually here to record.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dragon Age. Because we're carrying on with the module in set 2.
Winterfall.
Autumn
Falls. Not Winter Falls, Autumn Falls.
I doubt you'll have anything to do with Winter Falls.
Oh, no.
You'll be very, very busy.
Yeah, we'll be long gone by that.
Oh, yes. At this point, you were left in a bit of a hazy situation. I mean, you didn't really know what was going to happen next, did you?
No.
You didn't have enough to go on.
We just went back to our logic.
And then you were eventually out in a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some fighting breaking out on the windows.
Yes, there was quite a ruckus outside.
Yeah, someone was pointing and saying, hey, you've got to take a look at this now, wow. And all the dwarves are all going at it.
Yeah.
Big fist fight as far as the eyes can see. A carpet of dwarves. And it's the Kalsharok dwarves versus the Orzammar dwarves.
Mm.
And what's happened is Orzamar's had one of their dwarves turn up dead, but now one of the Kalsharok dwarves has turned up dead. They're both blaming each other.
Yeah.
It's all going down. Now, effectively, this is a situation that was about to spiral out of control.
And you're like, okay, what do you guys want to do?
Now, mechanically, me as the GM, if I allow things to happen as they will without the player's intervention, it will get worse. Weapons will come into the mix.
And somebody will die!
And that somebody's possibly going to be Lord Kinrick.
Mm-hmm.
The dwarf who can see sense of things.
Yeah.
Which would completely leave the Orzammar committee in the hands
Of
Lord
Quennar. Yeah.
So,
who was the more dishonourable one of them.
that wouldn't be so great.
But then again, he's basically the other side of the dwarven politics. Do it by any means necessary.
At this point, the players did jump in, and they
It was Carrack, or Jet Craig's opinion, to do, I am going to jump off of something and crowd surf my way to the dwarven delegate. I was like, he was a shouting man in a dress while he's at it.
Yeah.
I'm the famous man in a dress. That's his new intimidating role.
Yes.
Or some shit like that.
Yes. You know, it's sketchy on who it's going to work on. You know, it's
Yeah.
Anyway, so he gets to Kinrick. You know, he tries saying, "Look, talk him down. It's got to start with someone. It's got to start with you. You do it." And he's saying, "Look, I've tried telling them. They won't bloody listen to me."
You try. He says. Carrack does try.
They don't listen to him.
Nope.
It seems that dwarves aren't interested in a man in a dress.
Especially since he's going on about how he's a tall dwarf. They're like, every dwarf who says that to just gives him a look. It's like, yeah, moving on.
Someone else had a go.
Gabe spoke up. He was like, gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? On top of his lungs, pretty much.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were going to some Eminem for a minute there.
Yeah, Gabe basically used a stunned silence stunt for role-playing at that point, and everyone was like, turned and it was like, quiet. It's like, you have the floor, come on. What are you going to say?
Yep, what did you say?
Gabe basically convinced them that someone else was trying to steal the hammer.
And
from the both of them.
Yes, from the both of them. They bought it.
Yeah.
They said, well, look, we'll give it a chance at least. You say you can find some proof of something?
Well, that's what we were trying to do in the first place.
We'll give you an opportunity, and if you don't, we know to come back and blame.
Yeah.
So, you managed to stop that turning nasty, or nastier than it had been. Yeah.
It was already pretty nasty with them punching each other in the face to begin with. Didn't need to have weapons drawn.
During here, I let the players make a few sort of carousing rolls as well. This is just to give them a little bit of foreshadow on what's coming
Gain
up.
as much...
So, for instance,
gain information, basically.
They learned that the council back at Freeport is authorising troops to go in there and clear up what was found as the
remnants
temple.
of the evil cult, as it were.
To clear it out.
I'm not sure that's going to work.
So, I mean...
Not particularly well, anyway.
You find information out with your carousing as well as getting experience and getting to spend some of that coin that you've accumulated. So
and Gabe picked himself up some nice bits with the money he'd won anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And he got himself a nice new rapier and a buckler. Spike buckler, that is.
Yeah.
So it's a dueling shield. So technically Gabe has an additional +1 when he's on to his defense because of that shield now. It technically has a small shield rating for a defense bonus. Just a normal +1. And when he's in dueling stance, he gets a +1 on top.
Well, you'd been beating the bushes a little bit to try and find out as much as you could about this poorly person still as well.
Yeah.
Which was fairly important. Clara, who you'd been kind to, and you'd conducted yourselves quite well back when the broken oar got broken a bit more, tracked you down and said, yeah, Paulie's been in touch and he's actually warned me not to be in the tournament on the final day. Because something bad's going to happen. And a lot of people,
the arena anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of people going to die. She gave you that tip-off. She wouldn't know where to necessarily find him now.
No.
But then you had a sneaky contact come and meet you.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Now, whenever someone's trying to help you, and they might be a bit of a down and dirty type, but they're the ones with the real proper information.
Well,
you guys are normally rude and intimidating to them.
Well, Craig and Jez were. They couldn't even get a word in edgeways, and he was the one that he was trying to have the conversation with.
Which is sort of, well, yeah. It's a bit counterintuitive to the whole idea of...
They were trying to intimidate him into lowering his price.
Of having contact.
But he hadn't even given us a price yet. He said, make an offer and then I'll see if it's worth it. Of course, my discretion has also got to be counted into this offer.
I think he ended up asking for a couple of gold.
3 gold.
3 gold?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So...
And before they could do anything else, Gabe was like, fine, and just throws him a pouch with 3 gold in it. Because Gabe had just about had enough. These 2 idiots are being dumb. Gabe can get along with them, but they're counterproductive to the situation.
I mean, unfortunately, a scummy type like this knows the information.
Well, yeah, as soon as we gave him the money, he slipped out of Tanadil's grip and started to run off.
And he'd pickpocketed Tanadil.
With
a little bit of his drinking money.
Yeah.
That Carrack had left on him still.
Yeah, but the fact is, the guy wasn't running off with our money.
Carrack!
He motioned for us to follow
Carrack looks after Tanadil's money. How is the character not a retard? If he can't look after his own money.
Apparently he spends too much on drinking and whoring. More so than he's meant to.
Yeah. I think it could be argued that most warriors who go out there and have their heads bashed for a living, and bash heads for a living,
are probably a little bit dumber than most.
Yeah.
I mean, intelligence is never a warrior stat in...
There are a few cards
D&D.
short of a deck by now. A few sandwiches short of a picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let me put it this way. Amelia, she's not smart. I mean, with a cunning of -2, she's definitely the dumbest one. She's not an idiot.
It's important, isn't it, to portray your stats to some degree.
Yeah.
You could be a professor of science and roll a really, really dumb warrior type brute character, and you have to portray those stats. He wouldn't know all the shit you know.
Well, yeah.
If you're going to start bringing...
There's portraying the stats, then there's portraying what the character's knowledge is.
Unfortunately, if you bring too much in of that, then you do enter the realms of metagaming, and
let's put it this way.
It's not even open for debate. It's fact.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's say with my cunning -2, I have military law.
Yeah.
Effectively, that gives me as a focus, of course. That effectively puts me at 0 on my cunning for that test.
Yep.
However, the fact that I have it suggests that while I'm not smart, I'm book smart about that particular focus.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Yes.
It means I know more about it because I'm focused in studying it.
The other thing
It's basically you portray your stats, then you portray your focuses.
One thing I think is very important whenever I'm writing my own work.
Well, it's like if you don't have... You've done things before. It's like if you don't have the focus, you can't do it, or it's going to be a harder test.
Or sometimes I've even said...
If you've got the focus, it's an automatic pass.
Straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other times where, when I'm trying to write something, I'll say, okay, I don't know whether your character knows this or not, and you probably don't know whether your character knows this or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the knowledge worth having on paper.
Yep.
Now roll a die for whatever that type of thing is,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you whether you know that knowledge or not.
Yeah.
Irregardless of whether you know the knowledge or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it's got to be a little bit that way.
Mm-hmm.
The dice can solve it if the GM can think of a
It's
a
basically
packet of information.
If you can find a way to house rule it, then go with it.
Well,
Mostly, isn't it?
I don't even think you really have to house roll it. It's not even a case of breaking the system. It's just a case of finding a focus.
Mm-hmm.
Using the actual system that's been put in place, but making adjustments, saying, well, do you know, I think it would use this focus.
Mm.
And so, okay, roll for this focus.
It's like we had this conversation with tech use and tech law in freaking...
Yeah. That was heresy, but of course, tech law never really...
came up. It was always tech use, but it was tech use to figure out the knowledge base.
But again, don't get me into piloting either. Just don't even start me off on that. Right, so, we'll crack on.
Yeah.
You followed the informant and found Paulie's position.
Mm-hmm.
A sneaky-looking man trying to hide out amongst Tent City.
Yeah. And we snuck up on him.
You did, and you took him by surprise, cornered him, and you didn't have long to question him.
No, before he spontaneously combusted. After Carrick passed the test, he was like, get the fuck away from him!
He's gonna blow! Yeah, Carrick passed an arcane law to figure out...
test, right?
Arcane law. To figure out that he was going to blow.
Yeah.
And I handed it to Carrick on a little piece of paper.
He was like,
Run! Run!
fucking run now!
Move it!
And my reaction was like, okay, I'm not going to run, I'm just going to walk casually away, because cool men don't look at explosions.
But he didn't tell you even what it was, did he? He just shouted, run.
No. Make it fake silly. This is like he doesn't even know the spell himself.
But
until after he leveled and then took it. Yeah.
I guess it was encountering it like that made him fancy it.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody get jibbed right in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I can apply that to some bandits now.
He's trying to AoE them, I guess.
No, he's going on about how we lack AoE power output.
I wouldn't quite call that an AoE.
Indeed, it's only AoE if they're grouped together.
It's only AoE if they die as well.
With it on them, yes. It'll work good if you walking bomb one in the centre and then were to use Force Mage to pull them together with a gravity well. Or whatever the blooming spell is.
Yes.
And then the guy dies and goes boom.
Maybe keep them there with the grease.
Mm-hmm.
For another round or two.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do.
Whatever.
That's what I used to do with
or Mind Blast. Mind Blast. Knock them down. They can't move.
You can do that afterwards. Yes. It's true. Wow. Anyway. He blew up. And then Isis Aerus, even. Whatever his name is. Isis Aerus. Strange guy. Cultist leader type caster bloke.
Yep.
And his last Moonfoot soldiers. Attack head did it. And there's quite a lot of them.
There was quite a lot of them.
And they were protecting him quite well. And he was starting to... Well, he was buffing and debuffing initially.
Yes, he was.
He managed to increase their stunts outputs by +1.
Add an extra d6 of damage from flaming weapons,
Yeah.
which affects everyone within a 10-yard radius of him when he's cast it.
So even though they were only using short swords...
Granted, it only lasts for a set amount of rounds, but...
He was a very powerful caster.
Yeah,
he was a hell of a good fight.
Yeah.
And it started to look a bit funny a couple of times, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Because of his blood wounds and that. Because he's a blood mage.
Yeah.
Let's tell him about the Agnes Steely-Do.
Well, first of all, she got hit with Walking Bomb as well. And for the case of the entire fight, she kept failing the test to remove it.
Yeah.
Meaning she took, almost every round, 10 points of penetrating damage.
So that was wearing her down.
Yeah.
Poor Agnes. Poor Pete.
Yep.
Finally, she managed to get that off of her.
Yep. But she was out of the range of Karak's group heal spell.
That he managed to pull in and take. Now, why did she end up out of the range?
It was like she was like maybe one turn away from going boom, even with Karak's heal spell going off.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm going to move away so I don't hurt Tanadil and Gabe, because we're all more or less standing right together because we're ganging up on opponents. Or they're ganging up on us and blocking our movement.
Now, in hindsight, because you were controlling Agnes on the day,
Pete
because Pete wasn't there as one of them usual type of things.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Agnes can't accrue experience either. In hindsight, you looked at it as a bit meta, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I really shouldn't have done that. I know what the spell does, but I really shouldn't have moved it, because Agnes probably doesn't know what the spell does, even though she's actually seen the spell, but would she know the spell's been cast on her?
Yeah, she's got something on her, but it's taken her apart. Yeah.
Now, if this was like Dungeons and Dragons, you have to take a spellcraft roll to see what the cast is casting.
It's a bit crunchy.
I know, it's like you have to do this, roll this d20 to match it against the difficulty check, and blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And then you can tell if they're rolling, but then it gets even more funny, because it's like half the caster's level plus the spell's level on top of a 10. So you're ending up with could be like a 20-something spell. These checks.
Isn't it just as many rules as a big complex game like Warhammer again?
Kind of, yes. I guess.
Yay. Right, anyway. That would be one to look forward to. Right, so.
But at the same time, the GM could just roll the die or just tell you the spell in general.
Hmm.
And hope the players are not metagaming.
She went into dying mode.
Mm-hmm. And then a blood wound, take her down.
AoE'd, yeah.
Any damage, we pretty much said if you're in dying mode, counts as a coup de grace.
It very much can, especially when it was this much damage.
Mm-hmm.
With this mage pulling it out like he was.
Yeah.
Ooh. So, Agnes was down. Pete's lost another one. Pete's lost 4 characters now.
And somewhere near the end of the fight, Agnes gets up.
And
we're all like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, oh shit, no.
how?
I'm like, no, it can't be.
And
I'm like, Rob, please tell me it's not what I think this is.
And I was like, do you remember that dream association?
And I'm like,
yeah.
Crap.
Well, it's funny because dreams in this world also happen to be connected
To the Fade, which is the land of the...
dead.
Yeah, that too.
She had become possessed by Squire. That's right, he's pulled a new trick.
Yeah.
And she wanders off all crazy zombie mode.
And then he's going to pull another new trick later on.
And start slaughtering people. But they don't have time to worry about her because they've got to finish off these cultists.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, it states in the book that pretty much the cult leader gets away. Once he realises he has no chance, he will do a runner.
He tried to do a runner.
He really did.
He didn't get away because even though Gabe now is wearing light mail, he's wearing red steel light mail, which means he doesn't take penalty modifiers.
Yeah, you managed to get a lot of gold. And really buy your...
It cost me a hell of a lot, though. It cost me everything I had just to be able to get the weapons and that armour.
Yeah.
And it was enchanted with magical crystals.
Yes, it gave you a resistance to, I think you chose Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Which was kind of coincidental considering the spell that this
Getting
guy was casting.
getting to choose something like that was going to cost more normally, but you completed a
bargaining roll,
communication
or like
bargaining. Yes. So
Game's got a good communication.
You saved yourself a great load of gold again.
Mm-hmm.
The players pull these things, that's.
Gabe's now wearing basically mail armour. He's in a bit of chainmail, as it were.
Yeah. Which is pretty much the top end for you rogues now.
Realistically, yes.
That's as good as it will.
Because I don't really think wearing anything higher is going to realistically work, even if it's made from a certain particular very powerful metal.
Yeah, and there's going to be some occasions where having armour on at all
is not going to be a good idea.
Or metal armour. I've punished you guys for that before.
Yeah.
Who's to say I won't do it again?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Heck, the thing is, I haven't sold Gabe's leathers.
Uh-huh. See, like he's frightened already of wearing it now.
To a point, yeah. But here's the thing, it's not like getting better materials gives bonus to defense, does it? It's just minimum strength requirement, which for rogues on leather is pretty pathetic. Because they don't have...
Well, Tanador's now in... he's an exclusive male user, and that's because of his unique specialisation.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that as a separate video talking about that, actually. Running through it. It's quite interesting. So, well, it was nice because we found a specialisation that actually fits his character.
Yeah.
So you won through in the end. Karak went down, and...
A couple of times, I think.
Just got back up in time before a blood wound went off and had him.
Yeah, I think it was like this. In this case, unlike before, where Amelia has basically shoved daily potions down Karak's throat before, you've now implemented okay, Karak, take this test, does not choke on on it when he's feeding you the potion.
Yeah, that was kind of how it went.
And it was Tanadel who did it twice, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it's their old setup, it's like Popeye with the spinach.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, then...
Oh, yes, and then Isis, or Essis, or whatever his bloody name is.
Yep.
Was mana-draining blood magic version of his allies.
Of his own troops. He was killing them almost faster than you could.
Yeah.
Just to be able to fund his spells. But at one point, he
wiped
all of his mana. He wiped all of his mana right out.
I was like, oh crap, he's miscast. We're probably going to be into shit now.
You always think that. Every time it's miscast, you're like, abomination.
There's always a chance. It's a D6 roll, isn't it? Or something like that. Or is it by the dragon die or some shit? It's usually the dragon die.
Which is a D6 roll.
Yeah.
Right, so then. You got that fight done. You realised, we're going to have to head for the stadium. You started trying to run after Agnes, but you couldn't really find her. Wasted a bit of time doing that. Got to the tournament stadium, and...
Everything's fine. Everything's perfectly fine.
You went behind the scenes.
To begin with.
Yeah. Now, at this point, you guys had 20 clusters of explosives to try and find.
Yeah.
And Karak and Tanador went together. Blacktail went off on his own. Blacktail managed to locate one.
Gabe went off on his own.
But
he was getting information to everyone else.
Now,
he could think of.
This was going to be about damage limitation. Because the chances of no explosives going off are very, very low indeed. So, if... I think it was like up to half the explosives went off.
You're still in the shit.
Then the entire central column would have come out and the whole thing would have gone down.
Yeah.
That's all it would have took to kill everyone.
Gabe basically went around to everyone he could think of. He went to the dwarves.
And by the way, it would have been like 20 d6 damage.
To anyone within the range. And then it goes 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way down. If you're within 30, if you're out of 30 yards range or
36 yards or something like that.
You end up taking 0 damage. But
the fact was that if you guys had been desperately trying to defuse a bomb...
You probably... What?
How
many d6 did you say? 20?
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. 20d6, if that was Karak or Tanadil standing there, they'd probably both be dead if one of those bombs went off on them. They managed to defuse 2.
Yeah.
And the second one just barely. Which still technically leaves us with 18 bombs.
Yes. And we know that Blacktail dealt with one.
Which leaves us with 17.
A lot of Gabe's work managed to set the scene.
Yep.
For people to come in and
went
help.
To the dwarves. He spoke to Lord Quenya. Or was it? No, Kinrick.
No, Kinrick.
Kinrick's the good one.
He didn't speak to Quenya.
No, he spoke to Kinrick.
And by the way, if he'd have spoke to Quenya...
It would have been we would have tried using it as a cover to try and get the hammer.
Something would have happened. It is covered in there.
Yeah. But that was would have been an excuse for him to try and steal the hammer, realistically, wouldn't it?
You're definitely playing Dragon Age, aren't you?
Yeah.
You can feel it.
He went to Lord Kinrick.
It feels like a BioWare Dragon Age thing, doesn't it? Who do you tell?
It probably feels better than the BioWare Dragon Age, to be honest, because there's no reset. Like reload, you're stuck with what you got.
Yeah, well, there's that.
He went to the Kunari.
That's a positive.
He went to
So yeah,
what's her name?
Killing yeah.
Yeah. He had the guy who's funding the tournament.
Orenthal.
Lord Orenthal.
And his men looking
He
for
went
him.
to the Pentaghasts.
Yep.
I think
They said they were going to look into it.
I think there was a couple of others. I can't remember exactly everyone he went to, but there was a few things that he probably could have done to try and help as well.
End of the day, only one bomb went off. But during such time, Agnes reappeared in front of Gabe.
Yep.
And Agnes...
And Squire brought a nice new little trick.
Agnes's face split apart, and Squire's face came out. And then he pulled her form apart and stepped out of her. And Gabe took one look at that, turned.
Like, fuck.
We don't know where Squire's gone now, but he's back again.
Heck, he could have been near the one bomb that went off. For all we bloody know.
Oh no, not again. That would be funny.
Which means that then if that supposedly killed him as well, that would be hilarious.
Yes. The final death of Squire.
Maybe.
Well, anyway.
He's supposedly died a few times now.
Well, you got out of it hailed as heroes. You got away with some pretty good prizes, some pretty good loot.
Yes, we did.
This has probably been the most successful adventure you've ever taken part in.
Well, it was a lot more successful due to the fact we only had one bomb go off.
And the fact
I think it was like if Gabe had also gone to the circle, it would have been 0 bombs.
Yeah. But the fact also that you had winnings.
Mm-hmm.
Your winnings were so high, your rewards.
Yeah.
So you left, you got on a ship.
Not before Karak became a Grey Warden.
Oh, how could I forget that?
Because you made it so that he wouldn't. So you made it so the fact that he was going to die from trying.
Possibly. There was a chance.
You made him take a test against the test that would have been very bad for him.
Yes, well, now, Kalina was there as a talent spotter, effectively. Karak's the only one that wanted to join anyway.
Out of this particular groups.
Because there are certain sort of negative aspects to being a warden.
Yeah.
As well to take on board.
Gabe didn't really want to do it. Taladin was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm beholden to no man.
Now, I don't really want to reveal what the process was. But it did all come down, in the end, to a constitution stamina test.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got unlucky on the first roll.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And he needed a 12. And he's a mage.
And he's got con of like 2.
So not pass. But he was alright. He rolled like a 15. So he didn't collapse in the end.
Well, it's not like he's got the focus either.
No. In his case, it ended up as 12.
Yeah.
It could have been different based on something else. There's a certain mechanic I've put in place.
It could have been easier, it could have been harder.
So, he survived the joining. He did all that. He's now a warden. He's now wearing the tabard over his robes. Then you left on a ship.
Yeah.
And you found another ship in distress. It was partially on fire, under attack from a sea worm.
Leviathan!
And it had glowing red crystals on it, seemingly.
Yeah.
And it was your call to the captain of what to do.
No, it was Tanadil's call. That's a dragon! I want to kill it!
But then Karak's a Grey Warden as well, so that holds sway. And you're the heroes of Cumberland.
Gabe's like, fuck it, let's just go to
Let's save them. And as you get closer, you actually see that they're pirates.
Yeah.
And not only just pirates, they're one of the legendary pirates.
Avarian pirates.
There's the Avarian pirates.
The Snow Queen, right?
Alfeed on the ship called the Snow Queen. And yeah, she's a renegade who didn't want to marry her would-be
Yeah, she didn't want to get kidnapped.
families. Yeah. She refused. She's on the run. They're hunting her constantly. She's a pirate.
And that's where we left it before we even got anywhere near the fighting in this particular point.
Yes, what's going to happen next? You know, oh gosh, it's pirates. Well, we don't care. We're still going to help them.
I want to christen my sword.
At this point,
In its blood.
Tanadal's hungry to kill a dragon.
It's not even a real dragon. Craig's reasoning was, it breathes fire, it's a dragon.
It's got scales.
And here's my reaction. Yes, but according to some other fantasy rings, dragons can also breathe acid, lightning, and frost.
I will also say that Seaworm mysteriously has the ability as well to come out of the water, should it so desire, and float as if swimming, but through air, and then go back down.
Was it framed?
And it has no wings.
Uh-huh.
That's messed up, right?
Yeah, does it also eat items and give us souls?
Now Lord Vessel for you.
No, literally, no Lord Vessel for me. I haven't got that far.
And whereas I've just completed it.
Yeah.
And I'm starting a new game.
Yeah, and you're taking on the bridge wiper.
Yeah, again. Killed him once. So, I will leave it there, and until the next one, I'll leave you wondering what's going to happen with these sea worm and ship thing before they can even do anything else, because they're trying to head back to Freeport, in fact.
Because we've got to find my fucking Stein!
Yes, the gold den, or what's going to come of that. Well, we'll find out next one. We'll sign out here. See you at the table.